But when people look at particularly social media, let's bring it back to that, when you see someone who, you see them posed in front of their mansion with their beautiful car and they're leaning against it with their designer clothes on, their expensive watch, you go, I want that.
Right.
That's what I want.
What you really want is freedom. You want freedom from your money problems.
Right.
And I think that's okay. So people, once someone can solve their money problems, either by lowering their lifestyle or by making enough money, essentially what you want to get everybody to is retirement. But not retirement in the I'm 65 years old, sitting in a nursing home collecting a check retirement. Different definition. Retirement is when you stop sacrificing today for some imaginary tomorrow. Okay?
Yes.
When today is complete in and of itself, you're retired.
Yeah.
And so how do you get there? Well, one is you can have so much money saved up that just your passive income off of that without you having to lift a finger covers your burn rate. Keep your burn rate low. Right?
Mm-hmm.
A second is you just drive your burn rate down to zero. You become a monk. A third is you're doing something you love. You enjoy it so much, it's not about the money.
Right.
So there are multiple ways to that path. But the most common is people just say, I need to make more money. And the kind of wealth creation that I talk about is about creating timeless principles and adapting yourself so that making money won't be an issue. And you can do it by doing what you love. Right? Like we get into this model of I must work for other people, work my way up the ladder. I must do what that person is doing to make money. But really today in society, you get rewarded for creative work, for creating something brand new that society didn't even know yet that it wanted, that doesn't know how to get other than through you. So the most powerful money makers are actually individual brands, people like yourself, or Elon, or Kanye, or Oprah, or Trump, right? These are individual brands, eponymous name brands who themselves are leveraged, like you're leveraged. You have podcast media going out to everybody. That's leverage. The podcasts work for you when you sleep. They have knowledge that nobody else has, which is your knowledge is the knowledge of being Joe Rogan. I mean, who else is a UFC fighter and a commentator and a podcaster and a comedian and, interested in all these things and knows all these people? Can't replace you. So we have to pay you what you're worth. And who has
I never fought in the UFC though. Can't say I'm a
Oh, you
UFC
didn't?
fighter.
Okay, sorry. Or you're whatever. You're involved in that whole scene. You just have a unique set of skill sets. So because of this unique, what I call specific knowledge, because of the accountability that you have with your name, because of the leverage that you have through your media, you're a money making machine. I'm sure at this point I could make you start over tomorrow, wipe out your bank account, you'd be rich again in no time because you have all the skill sets. So once people have those skill sets, and the beauty is the way you've done it is you don't have any competition. There's no substitution. If Joe Rogan were to disappear off the air tomorrow, it's not like random podcaster number 12 would step in and fill that thing. No, it's just gone. So the way to get out of that competition trap is actually to be authentic. The way to retire is actually to find the thing that you know how to do better than anybody. And you know how to do that better than anybody because you love to do it. No one can compete with you if you love to do it. Be authentic and then figure out how to map that to what society actually wants. Apply some leverage, put your name on it so you take the risks, but you gain the rewards, have ownership and equity in what you do, and then just crank it out.
I think people have to be very careful to not get trapped along the way with things that you can afford with your current lifestyle, like the way you're living and the way you're earning, but they're also imprisoning you in the fact that you are now going to have to work this 40-hour-a-week job in order to get this thing that you can afford, but now you're saddled down to this job. You're not saving. You're not putting things in a good place, and you're working for these things. Yeah. Working for things as rewards is a real trap that a lot of people fall into.
It's the biggest one. Nassim Taleb also says that there are two great addictions: heroin and a monthly salary. Right, and that's why you can't get rich renting out your time, because even when you start charging more and more for your time, it's this slow upgrade loop, and then you upgrade your house at the same time, you upgrade your car at the same time, you move in the neighborhood. You really also have to get used to ignoring your peers, or upgrading or changing the definition of your peers. There are a lot of people here who are poor here, but they would be rich if they were living in Thailand and Bali. And if they have the luxury of a remotely doable job, they may want to be living there and saving up money.
But the ignoring the peers is an issue because the keeping up with the Joneses is a real phenomenon.
Yeah, envy makes the world go round. Right?
Yeah. And then there's a other thing that people have to avoid even allowing their mind to think. When they're hearing what you're saying and all this logical, fantastic advice, There's these 6 dirty words. That's easy for you to say.
Yeah.
That is a terrible trap.
I mean, look, I grew up as a first-generation immigrant in Jamaica, Queens, with zero money, single mom, 2 kids, working day and night, going to school. I washed dishes. I was working catering jobs. I was mowing lawns. I was working since the age of 11, on and off here and there. Didn't have 2 cents to rub together. I had to borrow $400 to go to college. Like literally, I was short $400.
$400.
I had to find $400.
Wow.
I didn't have it. Got rejected from a job at Dunkin' Donuts. So, okay, it's not to say that it's easy. It's
Right.
not easy. It's
not easy.
actually really freaking hard.
Yeah.
It is the hardest thing you will do, but it's also the rewarding thing. Look at the kids who are born rich, no meaning to their lives.
It's a terrible place.
Your real resume is just a cataloging of all your suffering, right? If I were to ask you to describe your real life to yourself, when you look back on your deathbed, you're going to go back and say, what are the interesting things I've done? And it's all going to be around the sacrifices that you made and the hard things that you did. Anything you're given doesn't matter. You have your 4 limbs, you have your brain, you have your head, you have your skin. That's all for granted. So you have to do hard things anyway to create your own meaning in life. Making money is a fine one. Yeah, struggle. It is hard. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's really hard, but the tools are all available. It's all there. Peter Thiel talks a lot about how competition is besides the point. It's counterproductive. We're highly mimetic creatures. We copy what everybody else is doing around us. We copy our desires from them. If everyone around me is a great artist, I want to be an artist. If everyone around me is a great business person, I want to be a business person. Everybody around me is a social activist. I want to be a social activist. That's where my self-esteem will come from. You have to be a little careful when you get caught up in these status games that you end up competing over things that aren't worth competing over. So Peter Thiel talks about how he was going to be a law clerk because he was in law school and everybody around him wanted to be a law clerk for a Supreme Court justice or some famous judge. And he got rejected, and that's what made him go into business. So it helped him break out of a lesser game into a greater game. So sometimes you just get trapped in the wrong game because you're competing. And the best way to escape competition, to get away from the specter of competition, which is not just stressful and nerve-wracking, but will often drive you to just the wrong answer. The way to escape competition is to just be authentic to yourself. If you are fundamentally building and marketing something that is just an extension of who you are, no one can compete with you on that. Who's going to compete with Joe Rogan or Scott Adams? It's impossible. Is somebody else going to come along and write a better Dilbert? No. Is someone going to compete with Bill Watterson and create a better Calvin and Hobbes? No. They're being authentic. This is easiest to see in art. Artists are, by definition, all naturally authentic. But even entrepreneurs are authentic. Who's going to be Elon Musk? Who's going to be Jack Dorsey? These people are authentic, and the businesses and products that they create are authentic to their desires and their means. If somebody else came along and started launching rockets, I don't think it would faze Elon one bit. He's still going to get to Mars because that's his mission. Insane as it seems, that's the one he set for himself, and he's going to accomplish it. So authenticity naturally gets you away from competition. It doesn't mean that you necessarily want to be authentic to the point where there's no product market fit. It may turn out you're the best juggler on a unicycle, but maybe there just isn't that much of a market for that, even with YouTube videos. So you got to adjust that somehow until you find product market fit, but at least lean towards authenticity, towards getting away from competition, and competition automatically leads towards copycatting and often towards just playing completely the wrong game. Especially in entrepreneurship, the masses are never right. If you see a lot of people tweeting about what a great market to enter is, or you see journalists talking about a company is terrible, they don't know anything. If the masses knew how to build great things and create great wealth, we'd all already be done. We'd all already be rich by now. So in a sense, when you see a lot of competition, sometimes that indicates to you that the masses are already here. So it's already competed over too much and there's nothing here, or it's in the wrong trend to begin with. On the other hand, if it's completely empty, if the whole market is empty and no one's there, that can also be a warning indicator that you've gone too authentic and not enough on the product market fit part of founder product market fit. So there's a balance. You have to find it. But generally, most people will make the mistake of paying too much attention to the competition and being too much like the competition and not being authentic enough. And the great founders tend to be authentic iconoclasts.